live, but I think we must be live now. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, it is another Saturday. Um, is it the last Saturday in March? I do believe it is. Anyway, so before we go any further, of course, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Gregel, who is, as always, standing to my right side. And Chris, are you there? Is there anybody there? Chris, are you there?
I am here. Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
All right. So as we know, we're keeping our fingers crossed because on Thursday we had a bit of a glitch with Restream, and it was odd because, from what we understand, people who were watching on Facebook were fine. People who were watching on YouTube were not fine. We're not really sure who's fine or who's not fine. If you are having any problems or difficulties, do feel free to tell us in the chat room. And not that we can do much about it, but at least we'll know what's going on. So anyway, we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed this morning, that there will be no glitches, there will be no problems, and everything will be fine. So as you all know, or if you don't know, you'll be about to know, today excuse me, Saturday is story time. And Chris just asked me a few minutes before we came on, do you know what story? She always wants to know beforehand what story I'm going to tell. And I said, no, I don't, because I have two stories and I'm sort of going back and forth which to tell you. However, one little tiny bit of news before we start the story time, and we will, after story time, I'll love your comments and your questions, but we'll be having some housekeeping stuff as well, because we have got things planned. Yes, we've finally got two dates for our next upcoming webinars. One of the webinars is where Greg and I will be giving messages. We'll be just talking to people. We'll be giving messages, as many as we can give. We'll be talking a little bit about how it works to give messages, but it will basically be, you'll be, if you want to participate, you will be coming in with your questions and I will be giving messages, and you'll be telling me, who is it you want to speak to, or whether it's a mother, a grandmother, a child, or whatever it is, a son, a daughter, sister, brother, or any and all. And then Gregel and I will do our best to see if we can connect with that person and give you messages from them. So that is one of our webinars, and I think that will be the first webinar. However, we also have planned, which we haven't talked to you about before, we also have planned a webinar with Gregel, and it will be a direct voice webinar. That means, for those of you who don't know what direct voice means, it means that Great Eagle will be talking to you. He will be using my voice box. He will be using the, everything that, how we work together. But when he speaks, it won't be him telling me something and then me telling you what he's telling me. It will be him speaking directly through me to you. So more about that later. But because we are going to have this direct voice, and in fact, Gregel has only done this once before recently, and in a public forum, which was just before Christmas, when we had our Angels webinar and we had some direct voice communication from Grey Eagle. Those of you who were privy to that, who came to that webinar, I know that you were overwhelmed, you were stunned, you were amazed. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience for those of you, for all of us, in fact, who were watching, who were listening, and for one or two who were actually able to directly ask Gregel questions. But what we should be doing in that webinar, and again, this is housekeeping for later, what we should be doing in that webinar, we should be asking people to send in, prior to the webinar, to send in questions. life questions, all sorts of different questions. The webinar Connecting with the Spirit World will be just before then. So in May, because May is an anniversary month, May is the month when all of my books pretty much were published. And May is, of course, my birthday, but especially May is the 25th year. Can you believe that I've been doing this for 25 years? And actually longer than 25 years, but May is the 25th. This coming May is the 25th anniversary of the Eagle and the Rose, which is why we are doing these very special events, and which is why Grey Eagle has chosen to allow you to hear. Now, remember that Grey Eagle is a highly evolved spiritual entity. So if you're really smart, or if you really, really want to experience this, it's an unusual event. It's a very special event. As I've said, he's only done it once before in a public forum. And so, so if you want to know more about that, you can go to our website. I'm not sure if it's up yet, but as I've said, that's for housekeeping. In a little bit, we shall tell you more about all of those things. However, as it is a special month coming up in May, and we're going to have lots of events, lots of free events, but also a couple of paid events in May. What I thought we would do for story time is to talk about Grey Eagle, to give you a little bit more insight into Grey Eagle and into how spirit guides work. So this story is about me. It's not about somebody else. It's about me, and it's about Grey Eagle. So let's, as all, I'm going to say this to you, as all good stories do begin, once upon a time. So once upon a time, I was in this place of learning, let's say. I told you a story, I think it was last week or the week before, as to how trance works, and I told you a story about the lady in grey with no face. I don't know if you didn't hear that story. You can find it again. You can listen to it again on YouTube, or you can listen to it again on Facebook or wherever. And if you can't find it, if you email us, we'll let you know where you can find it. But that was, let's say, the beginning. And so I was told that lots of people like myself, lots of mediums, have spirit guides, right? And I'd read at this point a fantastic book, which is, I think it might still be in print. If you can find this book, you should get it and read it. It's called originally it was called 40 Years a Medium by Estelle Roberts. Then I think it went into reprint as 50 Years a Medium. So 40 Years a Medium or 50 Years a Medium. It's the same book, but just published 10 years later, I think. So Estelle Roberts, and I had read that book, and that's probably the only book that I've read that I could somewhat say, this is, I like everything about this book, because lots of books you like some things about it and some things you don't. But Estelle Roberts talked about her spirit guide and how she came across her spirit guide. So in some ways I could, I could buy the idea of if those in the spirit world can communicate, which we know they can, if they are around us and if they are willing to help us and guide us, yes, I can get that they are necessary perhaps for someone who's going to be working full-time in this spiritual realm. So I was happy to understand that there are spirit guides. This is what I was not happy about because, as most of you know, I'm a very skeptical person. I'm probably the most skeptical person that any of you could wish to meet. I question again, and I question again everything that is around, and everything that I learn, and everything I experience. So, of course, I'm going to question the idea of, why would somebody have so why would a British person have a Native American spirit guide? Um, why would we have spirit guides who are or seem to be or apparently are strangers to us? So, although I could absolutely accept and understand that I might need help and guidance, and definitely do need help and guidance, um, but why wouldn't I have an ancestor? I mean, don't you think that that's a simple thing to think? So, anyway, I decided that, yes, okay, I'll buy into the idea of it, but, it's got to be somebody I know or I can relate to in some way. One morning, I woke up. I'd been going to this development group for now several weeks, and I woke up one morning to find standing by my bed, that my should let me do that again. I woke up one morning to find standing by my bed a Scotsman. I mean, it's not the usual thing, unless, of course, you're married to one, or unless, you have a Scotsman in the family. Remember, you know, this was, some might call it an apparition. This was a visit. So, from someone in the spirit world, from a Scotsman in the spirit world. And I didn't, it wasn't surprising to me because I'd seen people in the spirit world since I was a kid. I mean, I'd seen people coming and going. I'd not understood about them or what they were doing, but now I had more understanding. So I wasn't particularly surprised. And, so I sort of opened my eyes and there he was. And he was in full regalia. He had a tam o' shanter, which is the flat thing hat. He had a kilt. He was wearing a kilt. He was wearing all the stuff, spar and everything. He was a true and very typical Scotsman. And so I thought, well, yeah, I can relate to this because my ancestors are Scottish. My father was Scottish. His mother was Scottish. Okay, so um, over a period of time, this Scotsman would come to me every morning. He was there, and he would say good morning to me. I would say good morning to him, and we would have conversations about all sorts of things. And during the day and throughout the day, if I had questions or if I needed anything, I would, look for the Scotsman. He would be there with me, and I was very happy with my Scotsman. I thought, yeah, I can, if he is my spirit guide, and I had asked him, "Are you a spirit guide?" And he'd said yes, he was. So I could live with that. That was fine by me. And it seemed to me to be, let's say, more normal. Let's say, nothing out of the ordinary, and something that I could truly relate to. And so the weeks went by, and 2 or 3 months went by, and every morning, I got used to him. Every time I opened my eyes in the mornings, there he was, and I got used to it. And I got used to him being there, and I became perhaps in some ways a little bit reliant on the fact that I had a friend that I could talk to and who would explain things to me, until one morning I opened my eyes and he wasn't there. And that was the shock. You'd think that the shock would be that he was there, wouldn't you? But no, the shock was, where is he? And I called out and I looked around and I sat up in bed and I sort of, looking around, and he wasn't there. And without any warning whatsoever, he disappeared. And I was let's say, chagrined. I was a little bit upset. I mean, how could he possibly leave me without saying goodbye anyway? What was that about? And so I became very disheartened and very, sort of antsy, and I was not happy. But before he had disappeared, I'd started noticing other things. I'd started sort of having a sense of someone else. Um, you know, some of us, we might, if we connecting with our loved ones, or if we feel our loved ones, we might feel them in the same room as us. We might not see them, but we sense their presence, or we might sense someone standing behind us or something. You know, we might have that sense of something going on. And so just prior to my Scotsman leaving me, um, I had begun to sense another presence, but I really wasn't sure what that was about. I kept getting little signs of different things. I kept feeling, you know, sort of, maybe I, you know, could feel somebody's breath on my cheek, or somebody really coming close to me. I got a sense of something or someone, but this went on also for, I'm going to say, at least 2 or 3 weeks. I'd get into the car and I'd feel that there was somebody guiding me, or I'd feel that there was somebody around, and I'd turn around, literally turn around. Couldn't see anything, couldn't hear anything. Then one day I was driving. I lived in Lincolnshire at the time, and those of you who know about Lincolnshire know that the roads are completely and utterly flat, and they go on for miles in places. And I was driving down the road, and you know, sort of just driving down this straight road, and suddenly, out of nowhere, this enormous bird, huge bird, swooped down in front of the car so much I had to brake. I had to slam the brakes on. I thought it was going to hit me. Came flying across the front of the car, and then went soaring up into the air. And my breath was taken from me. Literally, I was sort of like braked, sat there trembling and trembling. And the only thing that I noticed, and I thought, was it an eagle? Is it just a huge? What is it? What is that thing? And it was it. The only thing that I really noticed as it was soaring up into the air, that the whole underside of this bird was grey. It happened that that was on a Wednesday. Now, why would you think that Wednesdays would be important? Well, Wednesdays was when my group of friends, Paul and Irene Denham, uh, Adele Campion, and a couple of other people who were involved in my development. We used to meet on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. I didn't think much more about it, except that it was, you know, sort of terrifying to have this bird sort of swoop in front of the car. And then finally I sort of got myself together and drove home. Luckily I wasn't too far from home, and I drove home and didn't really think about it, except, you know, wow, that what was that? Had I thought about it, I might have thought to connect the dots, because that's what we do when we are being connected by the spirit world. When we are, let's say, you know, where our families are trying to get hold of us, or when we feel or sense something around us, we start to connect the dots. So if I'd have connected the dots, I would have remembered that it was just prior to this bird swooping down and terrifying me, that I had felt this presence with me again, and much, much stronger and much more powerful than I'd felt it before. Okay, so here I am. I'm back at home, and now we have our Wednesday meeting. Samantha is tucked up in bed. Remember, she was a little girl at the time. She was tucked up in bed, sound asleep, and everybody came in. And I never thought to tell anybody about what had happened with the bird, because, you know, moving on, it was just one of those things. Um, we began our development group always with a prayer, because always before you begin to work, we say a prayer asking for God's help and his protection during the work that we're about to do. And we always finish with a prayer saying thank you and so on. So we begin with the prayer. And now at this point, I had done a little bit of trance work. I didn't like it. I had fought against it. I didn't like the fact that I felt sort of not in control of what was going on. Um, you know, when you're dealing with these things, the one thing that I think we should always try to to be is to remain in control of what's going on with us, and not allow ourselves to get carried away, or to allow our imaginations to carry us away. But here we are, and I began almost straight away after the prayer to feel as if I was sort of, I could feel that sense of going into trance, fighting it, not doing a very good job of fighting it. And I can remember Mick Maguire saying to me, "You need just breathe, Rosemary, just breathe and relax and just let it happen." And my instinct was, no, I don't want to breathe and let it happen. But it became so overwhelming, and the feeling of going into this trance state became so overwhelming and so overpowering that pretty soon I was in this sort of, let's say, light trance state, which meant, and I've explained this to you all before, a light trance state means that you can hear, see, understand what's going on, but you can't really do much about it. You can't really interfere. So I felt myself going into this light trance state. And then, for the very first time that I can remember, I felt a shift. It's very hard to describe it, but it's like you feel this shifting or moving. It's almost as if you're two people. It's almost as if, if you're seeing double, and you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel a bit dizzy and you're seeing double. So you've got a head here, and then you've got your own head. Anyway, there's this shift. So I felt this shifting feeling as I shifted and was moving, literally moving out of my body. And I felt this entity coming in. So I'm moving out, somebody else is coming in. I know some of you think I'm crazy. Yeah, maybe you think I'm really, really crazy. Let me tell you, nobody thought I was crazier than I thought myself to be. However, when you're in it and it's happening and you feel comfortable and you know that the people around you are going to help you, nothing bad can really happen to you, because you've got those people who are, let's say, experts in this field, who are going to help you and guide you if something goes wrong, it's easier to relax into it. And at this point, I felt that I didn't have a choice. So I could feel, as I've said, I could feel myself shifting, but also I felt someone else or something else sort of moving in into the space that I'd moved out of. The next thing I knew, I was standing. The next thing I knew, I felt as if I were 10 feet tall. Literally, I felt as if my body was so tall and so powerful. And I felt my arms crossing. And I could feel this, and I could see this somewhat because I was standing to the side. So remember, in a light trance, you can be aware in some way of what's going on, and you can sometimes see what's going on, but you can't do anything to change it. You can't do anything to alter it. You can't really do anything to stop it. And here in front of my eyes, this entity. I had no idea who or what it was. I had no clues, but I had this impression of this very strong and very powerful individual, a man, extraordinarily powerful in energy, I was somewhat in awe of what was going on, because it seemed, how, I never thought about this before, but you know how if you could imagine a genie coming out of a bottle, but in slow motion, it sort of was like watching a genie in slow motion, something appearing in front of your eyes, some powerful thing appearing in front of your eyes. And I know it sounds weird, but this is This was my experience. And then, to my absolute amazement, my throat started to seize up a little bit. It was almost as if it was being stretched. It first of all it shrunk and then it stretched, and then I could hear this coughing sound, or this sound, as if someone, of course, in retrospect, you can see what's going on, can't you? Someone was getting used to the idea of, the voice box. Someone was getting used to the idea that, this physical body was much smaller than they were used to. this whole thing here was a little bit restricting, let's say. And then, to my utter amazement, for the first time ever in our group, we had direct voice communication, as this entity began to speak to us. His first words, "My name is Grey Eagle." His second words, "She is my little flower." Now, we all knew, I guess, he was referring to me. And he has always, since that time, referred to me as his little flower. He told us many things that night. I'm not going to tell you everything that he said. Maybe I'll leave that for another time. You never know. But he began to tell us who he was, why he was there, that he would guide and steer me, that I would never, he said, my little flower will never go hungry. Now, I don't think he meant necessarily food, but I think that's part of it. And I've never gone hungry since that time. But when he said we'll never go hungry, I think he meant we'll always be sustained. We'll always have the energy. We'll always have the ability. We'll always have whatever she needs, meaning me, she needs to do the job that we are supposed to be doing. And it is true that even when I have felt to be so exhausted and worn out, and I get a phone call, somehow or another, I find the energy. If I'm sick and I have to go on a TV show, or I'm in a lecture, or I'm talking to people, it's amazing how, I can be sick and in bed on my sick bed, and then 5 minutes later get up and do what I need to do. Yeah, then I have to go back to my sick bed. But when Grey Eagle said she will never go hungry, he's not just talking about sustenance as far as food is concerned. He's talking about sustenance in that, I would always have the energy and always have the ability to do what is needed to be done. And he explained also that he was my guide, and he explained that he was Apache. I am Grey Eagle. I am Apache. She is my little flower. So they were the first words that he spoke to me. Now, I've said to you, I find it sort of incomprehensible. I don't understand it at all. Why would some little English girl from the middle of I lived in the north at the time. I'm of no consequence to anybody. What am I doing with a Native American spirit guide? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I have gone around it and through it, and I've tried to figure it out. And it is what it is. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I did have my Scotsman. Never seen him again. Can you believe that? I've never seen him since. But that's okay. But I needed him to, I suppose, get me used to the idea of having a spirit guide. And then now I have Grey Eagle, who is a very powerful and a very wise and a very knowing and highly evolved spiritual entity, who has been in my life for all of these years and helps and guides and steers. And he's also the one who is always there. When I make communication with the spirit world, he helps those people in the spirit world. He helps them too. He helps them to communicate. He helps to make sure that everything is as it should be. And so, so the role that he plays in my life is if I said it's so important, it's probably the most important aspect of what it is that we do. So here he is, and so I'm sort of getting used to it. Now, Paul Denham had experienced these things before and afterwards. Once our we'd closed with our prayer and we were talking about these things, Paul Denham actually said to me, he said, and this is years and years ago when I lived in England in a little tiny village. A lot of people knew me, but certainly not all over the country, and certainly not worldwide. I remember him saying to me, "I've never ever experienced a spirit guide so powerful." Rosemary, he said, "I don't know what's going on here, but he said you are destined for great things." And I'm thinking, "Oh, come on, really?" And he said, "I think there'll be a time when you will be world renowned." And I'm thinking, yeah, because I didn't want to be world renowned. I just wanted to just stay safe in my little safe place. My daughter at the time, she was, what was she? She was 10 or 11. I didn't want to, contemplate anything further than just, doing this in this small way. Little did Paul Denham know at the time how true his words would become. But that was my first meeting with Grey Eagle. And I think my impression was, I was so awed. I was so wowed. He was so, if I say big, it's not really so true. He was so powerful. And all of these years later, I still remember that moment. And all of these years later, what is the most stunning thing about him, aside from his gentleness, his tolerance, especially of me, his tolerance, his understanding, aside from all of those things, he has the most stunning and beautiful eyes, really incredibly beautiful eyes. And he's laughing at me as I'm saying this to you. So I think that as he's starting to laugh at me because I'm now complimenting him and saying how fabulous he is, I think that is, wait a minute, yes, the end of this story. There'll be more to come. But I thought that as we are doing this direct voice, you might like to know a little bit more about him. So from time to time, until we do our, direct voice webinar, and until we do our Connecting with the Spirit World webinar, where Grey Eagle and I will be giving messages, because he will certainly be helping me and he will be certainly guiding me as I give message to those of you who hopefully who attend the webinar. I just thought we'll talk about him a little bit more, so you'll get used to it and you'll get used to knowing perhaps a little bit about who he is. So when you come to the webinar, you'll be a little bit more familiar with him than perhaps you are right now. So that is the end of my story. How are we doing, Chris?
We're doing great. We have all kinds of people on, all kinds of hellos from, as you said, we are world renowned from all over. Shaz says, speaking of Grey Eagle, I love him very much, even though I have never met him. I have always felt a deep connection and I long to meet him.
Wow, well, you can have your opportunity. I'm not sure if is it up yet on the website, Chris?
It is up, and anyone who has subscribed to your newsletters by the end of the day will have a newsletter with all the detailed information.
Subscribe, everybody. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Just go to the web page, rosemaryaltea.com. There'll be a little button there. You can click subscribe, and then you'll be we're sending that out, the newsletter, I think either today or tomorrow. So, if you want the newsletter with the details, and if you don't happen to subscribe, or for whatever reason you don't want to subscribe, if you email us, or if you just watch for the the information coming up on the on the website. You can get the information that way. But tickets are limited, so you need to get on it. Now, uh, these dates will be in May. Um, the I think that the first one is it Easter Saturday?
The first one, Messages from the Spirit World with Rosemary and Gray Eagle, will be on May 8th, and it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So, and then the direct voice with Grey Eagle, and it will be called Grey Eagle Speaks, as
Yes,
he
that
will. I'm so excited about this. I have to tell you, I'm really, really excited about it.
I'm a
Yes,
million
Chris.
times excited about it. This one will be on May 22nd,
Right.
also 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. But just remember, we could go over a little bit. You know, we say 3 hours. Just, you know, just give yourselves a little wriggle room there. Now, tickets will be on sale what? When, Chris?
Well, we're going to put it up on Eventbrite. So right now we have the dates down so people can do a save the date, but we don't have the tickets up yet. Hopefully by the end of the weekend we will. Depends on how quickly we
Okay,
can
so
get together.
keep checking after the weekend, or sort of Sunday night through to, you know, Monday or Tuesday. They should definitely be up by then, so you'll be able to, you know, get yourself sorted out and get yourselves planned and organized. And we did wonder, are we doing the right thing booking it for Easter? A lot of people don't actually celebrate Easter, so it won't matter to them. But it's not Easter Sunday, it's Easter Saturday, and it just means just, you know, spending the morning and
Well,
then
no,
evening.
Rosemary, Easter's in April. This is May. I
Oh,
think yesterday you and I were talking about
oh,
Mother's Day. I think
oh, yeah.
I've
Sorry,
thrown so many dates and times at you. I'm
sorry.
surprised your
It
head
isn't
isn't spinning off
Easter.
your head.
It isn't Easter. Is it Mother's Day?
Yeah, we purposefully did not choose Mother's Day.
Right. Sorry. See,
Besides the fact that you're a mother and I'm a mother.
are you all listening and completely confused because I'm talking to you and telling you things that aren't right? Sorry about it, that everybody. We're not doing anything for Easter. But during the month of May, which these webinars are, we're starting these webinars in May again. If we decided, we usually only do one webinar a month, but we decided we would do two because May is the anniversary, the 25th, the quarter of a century of the Eagle and the Rose. And, you know, it's very unusual. It's very rare that any book at all sort of makes it past X amount of years, let's say 10. I'm not sure how long it has to be in. It's not only has to be in print, but it also has to be still selling, I think, for it to be considered a classic. The Eagle and the Rose is, I'm very proud to say, is considered a classic. But 25 years later, and we still, I think we had a couple of people mention it over the last couple of weeks. I found your book, The Eagle and the Rose, and I found it inspirational. Wow, wasn't it amazing? And so on and so forth. I mean, it's still selling. People are still reading it. People are still coming across it, and different generations are coming across the book too, which is very, very exciting. And you know, I'm just reading to Reese. I'm reading him the Secret Garden, and which is a classic. And I'm reading him the book before he watches the movie. I want to read him the book. It's a classic. It never gets old. It never dies. There are other classics that I can think of, which I'm also, you know, reading to him. Toad of Toad Hall. Those of you who are British will know that. Wind in the Willows. They are classics. Never get old. You never tire of them. They never get old. And for my book to be sort of in that same category is absolutely amazing. So we thought we could not go without celebrating it. And as the book was published on May 19th, which is my birthday, and dark chocolate covered cherries, if anybody wants to know, are my gift of choice. Thank you, Maggie. You were the last one to send me some. Oh gosh, they are delicious. Anyway, what was I saying? So it's my birthday. So what we're going to be doing is, and Chris, why don't we do some housekeeping, and then we will go to comments and questions from everybody. So if you have comments or questions, people, now is the time to put them in there. So Chris,
Oh,
can you just give us a
you've got them
heads up?
lined up. Yes. Yeah, so the last couple of housekeeping items, Rosemary did a session with Lee Carroll and Monica Mariani on Cryon's Circle of 12 Healing Wednesdays back in December. Apparently, no surprise to me, that has become a fan favorite. And what they're doing for the first time ever is rebroadcasting it. So if you want to listen to Rosemary's interview with Lee Carroll and Monica Moriani, it's on this Wednesday, March 31st, 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you are on our subscribe list for the newsletter, the information will be there. We've also placed it on the Facebook page, but you click on that link and you'll end up with all the bonuses of all different types of healers that are known to Lee and Monica. But also, Rosemary has a very special promo for those people that sign up and go see this rebroadcast. Plus, she'll be in the chat room after the show. So
Yes,
that's the
I
next
think
thing coming up.
I think that's the most important thing. I'll be in the chat room and hopefully be able to answer some questions. So, if you want to join me there, it's a very nice interview. And I feel very privileged that I'm the first one chosen to do a rerun of
Yeah,
the
rebroadcasts.
a rebroadcast of what we did. So again, Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, I know it's short notice, everybody, but we didn't get much notice either, which is fine. And we do have a promotion for those of you who choose to go and connect in and watch that show again.
And then the other two pieces in for the celebration of March and the 25th anniversary of the publishing of The Eagle and the Rose is every Monday in May and every Wednesday in May, Rosemary's going live. So every Monday, she's going to be doing something called Motivational Monday, and every Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, all at noon. Rosemary, do you want to talk about both of those?
Well, motivational Monday, we had to choose Monday. Wouldn't have worked, would it? Motivational Friday is not near, doesn't sound nearly as much fun. um, a lot of us are stuck. A lot of us get stuck in our lives. We don't quite know how to get out of the mud. We don't know how to move on. And especially with COVID, it's been very, very difficult for so many people to become motivated because there's so much depression and so much anxiety. So many people have lost their jobs. So, Monday's going to be, a little bit of encouragement and, a little bit of guidance and helpful hints as to what we should do. And you can always, if you want to join in with Motivational Monday and you have a question, you can send that question into our office, Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. You can send it in and if we have time, we'll address certainly some of the questions or certainly some of the issues that some of you have. And we're going to try our very best to see if we can give you some motivational inspiration so that you can get out of the slump that you're in. Wellness Wednesday, of course, will be a healing session. We are going to be doing healing sessions on a fairly regular basis. These are things that are upcoming, but throughout the month of May, both of these sessions will be free. There'll be no charge for them. You can tune in. We're going to try and do them in the same way. I think we're going to be using the same medium, aren't we? We're going to be using Restream.
Yeah, just like we are right here.
So you'll find them on my website. You'll find them on YouTube. You'll they'll be all over the place. And if you're not sure where to go, again, email us, Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com, and she'll explain to you, what it is that you need to do. Also, because it's the 25th anniversary, you need to pay attention now, everybody. From time to time, throughout the entire month of May, I shall be popping on unexpectedly. I might be in the kitchen showing you how to make some delicious food. I might be out in the garden talking about the herbs that I'm going to be growing. My daughter's going to be helping with that in the coming week. I might, you never know. I might be just at the beach and just saying hi to you all because I'm sitting at the beach or hanging out at the beach or whatever it is. And on my birthday, I'm not planning to do anything at all. But you never know. I might just go to the beach and say happy birthday to all of you because it's my birthday. Why not? Why not just whenever your birthday was or is or coming up, I'll say happy birthday. So watch out for me because I shall be popping in and out throughout the entire month of May. For those of you who are wondering what has happened to Instagram, well, our Instagram got hacked and we have no idea how to get it back. If you are an Instagram guru or if you can help us in any way, can you let us know? Because we don't know what to do to fix it. We have tried, Chris has tried, I have tried. We can't seem to get it back up. So whoever hacked it did a fantastic and a wonderful job of mucking it all up. But hopefully, even if it means we have to start up another account, hopefully we'll get back onto Instagram in the near future and we'll start using that as well. So, Chris, I think it's time for comments and questions or whatever it is that's going on. It's been a very busy and a very full day so far, so let's go for it.
Absolutely. Shaz says, Dear Rosemary, today I have been seeing numbers related to my grandfather, his day and month of birth, year of birth, etc. He passed before I was born. I often wonder if he loves me and is proud of me.
Well, it sounds to me like he's trying to let you know in his way, look out for the signs. And as I said to you in my story, connect the dots, just connect the dots. When when there are lots of dots, the dots will make a pattern. They will tell you things. So connect the dots. If you're seeing all these things, if you're experiencing all these things, I think it's more than likely that your grandfather is trying to say, yeah, I'm here. And just because you don't know me doesn't mean I don't know you. Keep going, Chris.
Frankie says, Hello,
Morning,
Rosemary.
Frankie.
I am a healer. I want to know if I am a medium like you. I feel I can sometimes hear and sense spirit, but the messages are not very detailed. I always felt different as a child and all my life. Always thought about life deeply and differently to the people around me. What am I?
Well, I like this question a lot. You are what we call a sensitive, but I have run a healing organization for many, 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 many years. I've trained people to develop and to use their healing abilities. But with all good healers, I think that they should have some little knowledge of what it might be like to connect with the spirit world. That does not mean I'm training them to become mediums. The word medium is so misused, and it's the new in word. Years and years ago, we used to call people fortune tellers. Then we called them psychics. Then we called them whatever else we called them. There's always something new that we call people. But being sensitive, being a little bit psychic, that's what we all are, and we all have the capability to be that. But all good healers, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, in my opinion, all good healers should have a little knowledge or a little sense of something else, but you are definitely not a medium. you say that you don't hear the messages clearly. Listen, I want you all of you out there, please be responsible. If you can't do it 1000% accurately, then don't do it, whatever it is. However, my darling, I think that you are a beautiful and a wonderful healer. And I think this sense and sensitivity that you have will very often help you when you're giving healing to your patients, because you have that knowing sense of something. Not that you should give out messages, not that you should, sort of expound on what it is you might be hearing or not hearing, but allow those feelings and that sensitivity to let you tune in more and to become more connected to your patient, so that your energy, your healing energy, can become its most powerful and its most beautiful to help them. Okay, Chris.
Maggie says, I'm doing something for the next 2 weeks for work. How will it go work wise and personal wise?
Oh, Maggie, figure it out. You know I love you. I do love you. But I'm not, go ahead, figure it out. You figure it out. You'll be fine. You know perfectly well that you'll be fine. Stop worrying so much. Chris.
Mitchell says, Good
Morning,
morning,
Mitchell.
Rosemary. I always enjoy story time. The Eagle and the Rose is such a fabulous book.
Thank
You
you.
once mentioned that you wrote a special story for your students as a gift one Christmas.
I
Do
did.
do you think that you might tabard with us this story on one of the story times? Thank you and much love.
Oh, Mitchell, that's a fabulous idea. Yes, wow. That story is about the little brown bird. And you know what? You've given me a good idea. Why don't I share that story with you all in May when we're celebrating our 25th anniversary? It's a beautiful story. It's about a little brown bird, and it's about the tallest tree in the whole wide world. That's all I'm saying for now. So, Mitchell, good idea. Chris, can you make a note?
I just
Uh,
did.
it's definitely on the agenda for May. So, everybody, you've got to keep on your toes. You never know when I'm going to pop up. But that is a wonderful story. And I wrote that story with Grey Eagle. It's a very profound story. It doesn't sound like it, does it? But it is. And, uh, I wrote it and gave that story to my students as a gift. I do wonder how many of my students still have that story, or did they discard it, or did they feel it didn't apply to them? You'll see what I mean when I write the story. But Mitchell, thank you. Thank you for joining us also on Storytime. I'm, as you can hear and see, I'm very excited for the month of May. I'm very excited to do our direct voice with Gregor. And I'm very, very excited to be able to sort of literally give all of you who join our webinar the experience of hearing messages from the spirit world. There are never any guarantees. You might not get a direct message. You might not get, a message for you, but every single message that comes from the spirit world, somehow or another, if you pay attention, so many people in an audience, you might get an audience of 1,000 people, and people come up to you afterwards, that message you gave to so and so, well, that applied to me too. So many messages that are given out apply to all of us. So I'm excited about this. Chris.
Rosemary, you and I spoke yesterday about giving examples of the types of questions that they can send in that would be for Gray Eagle. Do you think this is a good time for that?
um yes, we can. Well, let's just give one or two. Do you have one or two questions?
No, I wasn't going to start. No, 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 no. That's going to
All
take a
right.
lot of
Well, when
thinking on
you
my part.
okay, remember, if you're going to join the direct voice webinar and you want to hear directly from Grey Eagle, you cannot ask questions that are in any way, sort of let's say, how can I put this delicately? You can't ask a whimsical question or a flimsy question, or it's got to be a question. You remember that you are asking a question of a very highly evolved spiritual entity, someone who is wise beyond our understanding, somebody who knows so much of not just about our lives here on this earth, but about the universe and how the universe works and so on. Uh, you know, so when you're asking questions, it's like if you get an opportunity, let me put it this way, if you get an opportunity to go and see the head surgeon of New York Hospital, you're not going to ask him, well, look, I've had this problem with my wrist. You're going to ask him the very necessary, the deep-seated question that you need to ask him in order that you should get information that is going to really enlighten you. So these are the questions that we're hoping for. And the reason that we want them sent in to us prior to is so that we can sort through them and get and sort of make sure that there are no questions there that that we feel are inappropriate, or too flimsy or too whimsical. It is possible, and Gradle has his hand on my shoulder as I'm saying this, it is possible for maybe one or two of you may well get the opportunity to ask him a direct question live. It is possible. So you can be prepared for that as well. Chris, why don't we, go through comments, and did anybody out there enjoy the story time today?
Oh, every comment is they've enjoyed it. Fer, F-E-R says, I really hope to be able to attend your events. I've got so many questions. I got my first book of you when I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
You are amazing, Rosemary. Thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge with people.
Well, you're very welcome, my darling. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, people are saying fascinating. I love this story. Thank you. Mark says, Rosemary, you are my hero. Your life story is a blessing to me, and I'm certain all who have listened in this morning will feel the same. If only I could have a teensy bit of your abilities to be a guide to them. The world needs more inspired beauty for what you do. For those who believe, no explanation is necessary. For those who do not, no explanation is possible. Your
I
gift to
like that.
me was sharing that I do have my own guide and also a brother I've never met. That's a double gift. I want to know more of each and patient to hear from them as I sense them. You are my channel to them. Eternally gratefully yours.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you, Mark. Thank you. Keep going, Chris.
Let's see. I'm skipping over a couple here. Amy says, incredible story this morning, inspirational and so touched. You are blessed and thank you for all you do. Mark said, the Scotsman was the herald who prepared you for what came next. Gray
Yeah.
Eagle making his presence known to you, cherished Rose. Christy says, I have an obsession with the Native American culture. I grew up with a stepfather who was full Native. I can't help but think my spirit guide is Native. Any advice on how we connect to our guides?
No, absolutely not, because most of us do not have a spirit guide. Let's be clear. Only those of us who work full time in this arena will have a spirit guide. There's such a lot of nonsense spoken about spirit guides. We've talked about this before. What you do have, my darling, is you have your loved ones in the spirit world, you have your ancestors, and you're very probably right. You probably do have an ancestor who is watching you, steering you, guiding you, but that is not the same as a spirit guide. So, we may talk more about the role of spirit guides later. We've Actually, we've talked about it so often. If you want to go back and go to the YouTube channel and see some of the things that we've done, you'll find that that we have several times had topics on spirit guides, on angels, and on our loved ones helping and guiding us. Um, if you are really interested in the Native American culture, and I know that many Native Americans were up in arms when this book was first published, but it is such a rich and a beautiful book. It's called Hantayo, Hanta, and then Ho, two words, Hantayo. Uh, it's it was written by a woman, an English, well, actually, I don't know. Anyway, not a Native American. It was written by, I think, perhaps an American woman, um, who went to live with the natives for many years, 20 years or something, and learned their ways, learned their culture, and eventually sat down, was given the privilege of being able to sit down with the grandfathers, and this is the result of that is this book. It's Hantiyo by Ruth Beebe Hill, and it is a monster of a book to read. It's really hard to read because it's so rich and so incredible that you read a chapter and you get to the end of the chapter, then you have to reread it because you think, did I read that right? Do I understand that? And then you sort of going back and forth within this book. But I promise you, if you can do that and if you can struggle through it, wow, what an experience that is. So Hantiyo by Ruth Beebe Hill.
So, Rosemary, we're after 12 o'clock now.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Anything else we need to say?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, we will be back. We'll be back. We will be back next Thursday with our everything. Oh gosh, sorry, let me do this again. We will be back on Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our The Spirit World Sees All. If you want to join in the Wednesday night with Lee Carroll, the timing is different. What time did you say it was, Chris? Can you remember?
6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, I don't know what Pacific Standard Time is. You have to look it up. But I'm sure it's easy to look up. Just Google it, I suppose. So 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will be in the chat room after you've watched the interview, which I'm sure you'll like. Then I will be in the chat room, hopefully, answering questions, which would be a really fun thing to do. And it's a great interview. So, and there is a promotion. Are we saying what the promotion is for that, Chris?
Well, that's up to you if you want to say it.
Well, if for everybody who wants to join in on that, we're giving a promotion, as Lee Carroll has suggested that we might want to do, and all of my books, excluding the cookbook, I'm afraid, all of my books are 50% off. So that's our promotion.
As well as the CDs, the
Books
meditation.
and all of the meditations are, yes, everything that's in the store is 50% off, except the cookbook. So if you want to join that, that is on Wednesday. If you need to know more about that, again, email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com, or if you can't remember to do that, simply email us Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Please keep checking the website, rosemaryaltea.com, or one word. Go into the website. There's a lot of fun things and interesting things going on in there. The dates and the prices for the webinars will be up by probably very early next week. We're going to suggest, again, we have limited tickets. So we're going to suggest that you get on with it and do that as soon as you possibly can. And also, if you could share, because we had so many disappointed people when Greg did the direct voice when we did the Angel show before Christmas. We had we had so many people, countless people, uh, not exactly complaining, but saying we didn't know, and if we'd have known, we'd have come, and we didn't know that this was going to go on. So if you could share this information, that would be brilliant. We'd love you to do that for us and for your friends and your family, whoever. Um, but you know, if you have ways and means of getting the word out that we're going to do this, it's going to be very helpful for all of those people who did not or were not able to watch the show this morning. We shall keep promoting it. We shall be telling people, but encourage people to go to the website. I think, you know, that would be really helpful. In the meantime, would you all please, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Chris, and especially thank you to Gregor for being here with us this morning. Please, would you all have a very, very blessed rest of the day, and have a very blessed and a very wonderful rest of the weekend, everybody.